Hey gang, this is Don for Jenkins Locks and Geek-Dom. I've had a lot of requests on the free web hosting series we've been doing to basically do a crash course video. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. It is going to be long because it's a lot of material to cover. I am trying out something new with doing the webcam in the corner. So at certain points I will be pausing, either for just to speed through video or software installing, or if I need a bathroom break. So buckle in, get your popcorn, get your drink, get your smokes, whatever, and let's do this. So since I'm using my Geek-Dom dev domain for the extended series, I'm using one of my other dev domains right here for this crash course. I haven't set anything up yet, so right now this points to nothing. So I'll be doing this install from a Debian client. At the part where we go to install the G-Cloud SDK files, I'll put a link somewhere for the Windows installation video. I don't use the G-Cloud SDKs. Just personal preference. But the steps should be pretty much similar for either one. So the only thing I've done here is I spun up a new Debian VM. Just did basic operating system updates and pretty much nothing else. The only other prep I've done is I started to do this video earlier this morning, and apparently I've opened up too many Gmail and Google Cloud accounts with my PayPal, so they kind of banned me for a little bit. But that is not a problem. So I created this account this morning. As we'll see here in a second. Yeah, so let's see, this was what? Yeah, so I started early this morning. Early riser. So with that, the next thing I did was console dot. I think that's right URL. Let's go. There we go. So once I created the Gmail account, next thing you do is go to console.cloud.google.com. Since I just signed into my email, it's passing that over to here. The next thing I did was there was a banner up at the top for $300 credit. And you need to activate that to be able to do the VMs. While I'm staring at the microphone here. Sorry, not used to the camera up there. So once I got PayPal cleared out, normally it's just when you activate it, it asks if this is for an individual or business. It asks for your address, and then it asks just for some sort of payment, just in case your website gets huge and it's costing thousands of dollars a month to run. On all my public websites that I use Google Cloud on, year and a half, I haven't even used a penny yet of that $300. So, and that is for one business site and for one personal site. Two separate systems. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, when you're in the console here, you want to go up to where it says project, you go to new project. We're going to call this crash course. Gross. I do have regrets. Regrets. Of course. Okay. So no organization. Now, if you had like a Google Suite or a Google Business email address, then that organization would show up here. Okay. Yep, that's what we want to go to. So then we want to come up here to the menu. We want to go down to Compute Engine. And then go to VM Instances. Alright, so it's still setting it up. So while I was thinking about it, you guys comment below, do you like actually seeing this pretty face? Not. Let me know. Something new, trying it out. Good gravy. So, I guess while this is doing it, I can kind of go over the game plan. So we're going to set up a virtual machine. That's going to be our server out in the cloud. That's going to host our website. We're going to set up DNS. DNS is when you type google.com or ebay.com, DNS translates that into a IP address. And that's how networking equipment knows how to route your stuff. And eBay.com doesn't tell networking switches and hubs and muxes, demuxes, and all that how to route. So we'll do that, and we'll do it in a way that if you have to restore from a backup, and that backup will get a new IP address. Once you turn that restored new VM on, it'll update everything on the internet for you, and you don't have to do anything. So my goals with doing, and this is the way I do my websites, my goal with that is cheap, easy, and automatic. A little bit of pain in the initial setup. After that, we just let it go. So this is actually taking quite a bit of time. No, I don't want to put a sample out. So let's see, let's try refreshing. Sometimes you gotta kick it in the butt, right? So we're gonna create. So don't pay attention to this. This will eventually go down to nothing. Like I said, in over a year and a half, I haven't been charged a single dime. And I'm still at, I think, $299.99.5 on multiple accounts. So, I'm going to give this a name of Crash. If you want to organize your stuff, I'm not going to have that many to where I need labels. Region. Choose one that's geographically in your time zone and close to you. Zone permanent. We can hit the Well, we could have. So, the different zones are just what kind of resources you expect your web server to use. And you would have to... I don't have it off the top of my head. There's not much off the top of my head. Like one zone is for if your servers are going to be CPU intensive, one's if it's going to be data intensive, and one's for network intensive. So I don't have a problem anytime I use any of these, so go with the Fonzie. Ay. So next thing is we're going to come down to machine type. And we don't expect this to be overutilized. We're not expecting thousands of hits per day yet. So we're going to select the micro. And down the road you can always bump this up. With virtual machines it's real easy. It's not like a physical computer here where you got to take it apart, install more memory. This, you just come in here, machine type, change it, reboot the server, and you've got the upgraded memory, CPU, whatever. We'll be doing Debian 10 for this. You can, and I don't suggest this, you can choose any of these operating systems, and some of you who are Windows users may be tempted to go with Windows Server, but there's some downsides to that. One, you're going to have to pay for a server license. It's not free, just as if you notice on your computer at home you get that little sticker with the license key. If you were to go out and build a computer from scratch and have to buy Microsoft just Windows 10, that's a couple $100. Servers are way more expensive. You're talking in the thousands. So all these Linux are pretty much free. Debian just has to be one of the more popular flavors of Linux. And the other thing is web hosting. Over 90% of the websites in the world are hosted on a Linux server. It's very few that are hosted on something else. So when you want to try stuff, you want to add components to your web server, you're more likely to find more options with Linux than with Windows. Okay, so we're going to go Debian 10 Buster. Yep. Want to plan ahead. I don't expect to need that much right now, but again, down the road, if we need to bump that up to 100 gigs, you just come in here, you change it, reboot the server, and you're set. So since we're going to be hosting a web page, we do want to allow HTTP and HTTPS. The end result, regardless if anyone coming to our site goes to HTTP or the secure HTTPS, it'll all get redirected back to that HTTPS secure. So, and it's real easy to set up. Some of you maybe are already freaking out that we're using Linux and you're not used to it. Don't worry. I will put all the commands I use in the description. The initial setup's the hardest part. After that, it's pretty much fire and forget. Maybe every once in a while log in, run updates on the server, and that's pretty much it. So if you follow along with this video, you'll have your website up and running, and you're going to interact more through the WordPress interface than actually logging into the operating system. Okay, while this is running, I'm gonna pause this for a minute because we're already at 15 minutes. Okay, that took a little bit longer than expected, so while I had the video paused, I actually went into this virtual machine on my local computer and increase the memory, but I needed to wait until this was done so I can reboot. I would have shown how to increase the memory on the virtual machine, but like I said, it's a virtual machine on my personal computer sitting right here, so it would not help out in this video at all. If you guys want to see tutorials on doing VirtualBox stuff like that, please check out the Geek-Dom channel. So real quick, I'm just going to okay. Okay, and let's just make sure we got just a little bit of cleanup I forgot to do earlier. Okay, so let's get back in here. Okay, so our virtual machine completed. Here's the internal IP address, which is internal to Google. And what the hell is this doing up? Okay, I don't know why this is popping up here. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But we can slide past this. So here's the external IP address. This is what I was talking about when you type ebay.com. It'll route to a series of numbers like this. So with that, okay, I'm not sure where that, there we go. So my DNS for my domain is through Google Domains. If you're using GoDaddy or Wix or one of the other online hosting, you would have to go into their webpage and their portal and set this up. Should be very similar on any platform. But what I'm going to do is come down here to Synthetic Records, set up a dynamic DNS, add. Oh, sorry. At just means root. It's the top level, so anything including this right here will be included. Okay, it says 48 hours. Honestly, the longest I've ever waited with Google is about 5 minutes. So as you can see right now we have no data. So we're going to change that. We will need this here in a bit, but not yet. So let's switch over to here. And we're going to open a terminal. Now, for those of you who are freaking out about using Linux, it's not a big deal. I will go through and try to explain what I'm doing. But if you feel like I've glossed over something or missed it or didn't explain it, please put in the comments and I'll be sure to address it. So first thing we want to do is not that. Start to get ahead of myself. It's one thing when you break these videos up and you can do a little script for yourself for one, but when you're doing the full Monty, as I named here, there's a lot of stuff going on in your head. So we need to install the Google Cloud tools. And I will put a link to how to do this on a Windows machine. After the SDK tools are installed, it's pretty much identical on either Linux or Windows. I just happen to prefer Linux because they're faster to deploy a VM on. With Windows, when I deploy a VM, I've got to assign a license to it, so I don't get that activation stuff, and unlock all the features of it. And then there's a ton of updates that Microsoft has to do. I ran updates on this before I started the video. It took maybe 10 minutes. So we were going to look for Google Cloud SDK. Okay, this looks like it could be the right one. And it is. Okay. So I'll make sure to put this, I'm going to make a note to myself of what I owe you guys in the description. Okay, so you can see this is for basic Linux, Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, Mac OS, and Windows. We are on Debian. Excuse me. So you can read through this. It's pretty easy. If you do go to Windows, I'll just try to do a quick spoiler. You just want to download this and run it. And it's pretty much next. So the first thing we're going to do is copy this command to get the application. We're going to go into our terminal. And this is kind of setting up where we're going to pull everything from. So now we also want to do the secured HTTPS transport. Yes to confirm. Okay, since we are running on a current version of Debian, we don't have to worry about this. Now the Google public key. So most people are familiar with the HTTPS. That means there's a certificate verified by a independent vendor. When you want to make a secure connection from my house, my VM, to something outside of my home, especially with Linux, that's going to be through SSH. And a public key is something we're going to set up so that we will have to set up a private key, which I'll go through. So that way every time my computer goes to connect, they match up and it opens. If someone outside of me is trying to get in, they're not going to have that key, they're not going to have the information, so it's going to block them. It's layers of security. So copy that command. Okay. So like I said, I just deployed this VM, my Debian install that we're running on this morning. And I haven't gone through and set a lot of things up, which is good. So curl command is not found, so that's a real simple fix. Sudo. That's the Linux version of running as administrator in Windows. apt apt. We're going to get an apt install for curl. And yes, we want to install it. Another one we might need is wget. Wget is webgit. So it'll go out to a website and pull. Apparently it's already installed with this distribution of Linux. Awesome. Okay, so now when you're in the terminal here, if you use your up and down arrows, you can scroll through commands you've previously done. You can also do a history, and that'll show you pretty much from the beginning of time everything you've typed in your terminal. But what we want is to run this now that we have curl. Alright. So, don't have to worry about that. We're in a new install. So let's see, that was... Yep. So now let's get SDK files. I keep coming down here because I'm used to Windows, where you go down to your start menu. This will actually just open another one. So let's close that. Let's come back up here to the top. Paste. Yeah, so now 493 megs. This is going to take a while to install. So once it starts, I'm going to pause the video and then pick it back up once the installation is completed. Okay, so that finished installing. Now the next thing we want to do is a G-Cloud init. That just stands for the G-Cloud, which is kind of the program we're going to be using, and init to initialize. So right now it's going out to Google and saying, hey, you know, doing a little handshake, we want to come in and play around. So you must log in with a Gmail, or if you have a business account, your Google domain account. So yes, we would like to continue. Yep, that's my account. See, it's just a plain old Gmail account. Allow. Now this page will pop up, but you have to go back in the terminal. So, crash course, that's the one we want, number 1. And that's one of the advantages when you name things. Name something that's going to pop out, because I honestly don't. Helpful Kingdom, I have no idea what the hell that is. Now when we deployed the VM, we already set all this, but we can go through and do it again. I think in the other videos I've done 5. That's worked out pretty good. Okay. So now we should be good to come back into our Cloud Platform console. Are you going to make me log in again? Console, there we go. Okay. So before we, I don't know, let's go ahead and connect to it. So go to the menu, go down to Compute Engine, VM Instances, just like where we went when we went to deploy it. And we want to come over to SSH. Now you've got a lot of options here. Some of these don't work as well as they're advertised. We're going to go with View G-Cloud command. This is the most stable way I've found to get into it, and that's both using the Windows SDK and using the Debian SDK. So you may be tempted to do a select all, but that's going to select everything. So we're just going to highlight it, Control C to copy, go over here, right click, paste. So this is the first time we're connecting. As I was talking earlier, that SSH, those key files for that handshake, we're going to set those up. So yes. Now passphrase, this passphrase is for this Debian machine connecting through the console out. So each machine you set up the G-Cloud SDK files. You will go through this and create a different catchphrase for each one, or passphrase. This is a kind of a big security thing, so don't do like password or let me in or anything easy to guess. It does use 2048-bit encryption. Okay, so it's created it. Now it wants us to go ahead and log in with that. And normally the first time in, it takes me a couple times typing it before it accepts it. So now we're on a new machine. Now, even though we just deployed this, when we set up or deployed the VM using Debian, they don't update those with security patches every time they come out. They do them every so often. So one of the first things we want to do is sudo, so run as admin, app, we're doing an application item, and update. And this is going to update the repositories, which is going to tell the server where to go out and get updates. So we're going to do sudo again, run as admin, upgrade. So the updates goes out and tells us where to get the updates from. The upgrade upgrades the items. And I guess we got lucky and they just updated the Google instance. So, good deal. So, now that we have this, we need to step back and get this. Okay. So, this is a DNS entry that's going to tell the whole world how to get to our server. So, these are automatically generated by Google for my DNS registry. You know, GoDaddy, Wix, whoever might have a different. I haven't used GoDaddy in years, and I'm not trying to sell Google on you, but the last time I had GoDaddy, I was paying about $125 a year to match what I'm getting with Google for $12 a year, and I get a lot more with Google. So, you know, save yourself some money. You might look at moving your domain over. Let's see. Alright, paid endorsement aside. Just kidding, I don't get paid, compensated, anything for this. Okay. So, the first things we're going to do to build a great foundation is set up a server to automatically update if our external IP address changes. You can also use this if you got like a Raspberry Pi and you're running a web server from that on home and your internet service provider changes your IP all the time, or every time you reboot your modem. This will take care of that and doesn't cost a dime. So, free, automatic, and whatever else I said. So for that, we're going to do a sudo. So run as administrator, app, install DD client. And yes, we do want that. Now, so we'll come up with this menu here. I am not using any of these. I'd be using other, but I've been dealing with DD client for so long, I don't use this menu much, so I just kind of go, just kind of escape through all of it. Because I'm going to, and yes, I'm looking at my notes over here, so let me find my right notes instead of my left notes. Yeah. So we're going to modify the DD client config file. So sudo run as administrator. Nano is one of the built-in text editors in Linux. It's like Notepad in Windows. There's also VI and VIM. I just prefer Nano. So try all three, see which one you like. We're going to go to the directory etc. Etc, think of that as like the program files in Windows. Kind of where all the applications get installed. Now, I just typed DD, I'm going to hit tab. So if you can get the beginning portion of it and hit tab, it will autocomplete it for you. So just gotta clear it all out. So we want it to use the web to figure out where it's at. So we want it to be an SSL certified connection for security. Protocol. This part will change depending on who your DNS is through. GoDaddy, Wix. Mine is Goggle. Yeah. Google Domains. Make sure it's domains and not. Yep. Okay. Login. This is going to be this username. Next one is going to be password. And the password has to begin and end with an apostrophe. Always make sure when you're copying and pasting that there's no extra spaces or anything in there. And this is going to be @ for that root domain. So, looks good. Now in here I'm going to hit, so that up caret is going to be a control, and then X to exit. Do we want to save? Yes. We don't want to change the file name, so there we go. So, man, talking this much dries my throat out. So we want to do a sudo client query. There's just kind of a quick check to make sure everything looks good. So 230.191.187. Let's go back over to our DNS. I'm sorry, not our DNS. Our cloud. Alright, so that server is finding its own public IP. So next thing we want to do is go a little bit more intensive and do a debug. Debug just means we want all the bells and whistles when this runs. Verbose, we want it to output stuff we can read. And we do not want it to be quiet. So let me see. Let's switch over to DNS. Let's see if this updated. Sometimes this does take a few minutes. Okay. So I'm going to pause this for about 5 minutes, just while it propagates out. And then we'll go through and we'll set this up to run automatically for you. So give me 5. Okay, so I got impatient. It's been about 5 minutes, so I kept running the command. This one. So it finally ran. Just impatient. That's all I am. There we go. So now if we come here and reset or refresh, we should have that same IP address down here when we expand this. Perfect. Okay. So now the next thing to install is going to be starting to install the components. And I know we're already at 40 minutes, but this is a crash course all in one. You can fast forward, back forward, whatever you want to do. But I want you guys to do it right. So I make mistakes. I make them all the time. That's how, after 20 some years in IT, I've learned. I've screwed a lot of things up. Same thing in locksmithing. First I didn't know what I was doing, screwed a lot of things up, figured out how to fix them. That's the way I learn. So I don't like to screw something up and then have to redo a bunch of work. And I don't want you guys to do that either. So with that, we're going to talk about protecting your data. Now, your home computer, Windows, Mac, you may have an external drive that you back stuff up to, like a Seagate notebook, whatever you get at Walmart or Best Buy or wherever your electronic store preference is. Or you may say stuff to OneNote or OneDrive from Microsoft, iCloud. That's backing your data up so it's somewhere else in case your computer crashes. You can recover that. Well, I don't want to just recover some data. I want to be able to, oh crap, I screwed up, or something happened, the server crashed, it won't turn back on. How do we recover in minutes instead of starting all over, 40 minutes in, we still got a ways to go. You don't want to go through 2 hours of setup every time you got to redo this. So what we're going to do is, from the Google Cloud Platform, go to Menu, Compute Engine, Snapshots. So a snapshot, as the name kind of implies, just takes a picture of your server, your VM, at that point in time, and saves a complete copy of it. So there's two ways. There's an on-demand, I want to take one right now. And then there's one schedule, and I highly, highly recommend you do this, is to create a snapshot schedule. So with this, we're going to call this nightly. Again, pick your time zone. South America East, nope, haven't been there for a few years. Oh. US East. So depending on if you're doing, if you're uploading content to your website every day, I would suggest doing daily. I do not suggest doing hourly, just because that means once an hour your server's going to back up, and that will decrease the performance of that server. So if a backup's running and people are trying to get to the website and open up a big photo you have, it's going to slow it down. So daily, I can afford, no matter what website I've ever had, I can afford to lose 1 day of information. I can go back and redo 1 day's worth of work. You want to make it an off time, 1 a.m. We only want to keep 14 days of snapshots. So every day at 1 a.m. in the morning, we're going to get a complete copy of our server. And we're going to do that for 14 days. Why? I mean, honestly, 7 is my personal preference. 14, but you know, I've been in IT forever, so I can recover pretty well. Sorry. Is that a squirrel? My opinion is, I want daily so that I'm only losing 1 day of information at a time. If I have to go back 2 weeks that information is still old, and I probably don't need it. So we'll keep it at 14. Yes, we want to delete snapshots after 14. If you did deploy a Windows server, you want to enable VSS. That's shadow copy. That just helps take copies of the operating system files while it's running. So we're going to create. Now every day at 1 a.m. we're going to get an exact copy, exact backup of our server. So what we're going to do now, because we're getting ready to install, so I may script the installation, I may script a config file, I may go down to where I'm in the rabbit hole so far. It's just faster to restore than to troubleshoot what I screwed up. So this is called an on-demand. So we're going to go back to snapshots, create a snapshot, and this is going to be crash pre-GINX. So you can put a description if you want to. We only have one virtual machine out there, so that's going to be our source disk. Yep, this is all good. And we're going to create. So it's going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to pause, and we'll pick it back after that. Okay, so our VM is done. Our snapshot's done. So we're going to go back in here. We're still connected to our crash server. And the next thing we want to install is the actual web software. This isn't going to be the website. This is going to be the web software. That's what hosts it out to the world. There's a couple different options you can do. One of the oldest tried and true and one of the most heaviest used in the world is Apache. Another one is Tomcat. They're good. Everything has their pros and cons. I personally use Nginx. It's taken the lessons learned from Apache and Tomcat, and it does really well at handling multiple users hitting it at once. It's lightweight, it's efficient, really great to work with. You have to realize, every time you go to a web page, 99.9% of the time, that web page is hosted on a Linux server running either Apache, Nginx, or Tomcat. There's some other open source, other web platforms, but that's going to be the majority of the time. So we're going to do sudo run as administrator, apt for application, install, and I know I'm saying Nginx and it's Nginx. I don't know, probably some millennial. So yes, should be fairly quick. Alright, so now the next thing we want to do is we want to start that server, that web server. That's going to be sudo. We want to start the service, so we're going to do service name, and start. So we can hit the up arrow and change start to status. Active running, looks good. Now if we did our homework right, no, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find on my notes where I'm at. Yep. So we should be able to go to here. Oh. Go to instances, and we want to get that external IP address. So copied. Let's open up. And we gotta do HTTP because we haven't set up a cert on it yet. So just so this is not because I'm connected to that server with this VM. This is Chrome on my computer. So we're going to go to, not S. We're going to get to S. So, now we can try, let's push our luck a little bit. Okay, it's not ready for that yet. And that's because I'm using a dev domain. Dev domains, you have to have SSL certificates installed. It's just it's Google's rules. Okay, so with that, we now need to start configuring a few things. So to get out of this, hit Control C. We're going to do sudo run as nano, our text editor, and then etc ng. Do you guys remember what I said earlier to use to complete? And then ng. Look at that. So first thing we want to do is come down here. So anything that has this pound signed in and it's a different color, that's commented out. It means it's going to be ignored. So we want to uncomment and we want to turn on multi-accept. That's just telling the web server Nginx to accept multiple connections at once. So let's see, what's the next one we want to do? Server tokens, we want to uncomment that and make sure it's off. That's in case a user comes to our page and they get an error, something crashes, whatever. It's not going to advertise what web server we're running. Because you can make a web page crash, and once you get that information, you now know how to find the exploits on it. So we want to fly under the radar and go from there. Let's see. Oh, did I miss one? Nope. When you are in Nano, if you hit Control W, that'll bring up a search. Keep alive. So this is the next setting we want to change. This is one, it's really going to be up to you and you watching how your web page runs. Keep alive is, I go to google.com and I don't do anything else. The web page is up. At 65 seconds, Google is going to say, okay, you're idle, I'm going to disconnect that session. Now that doesn't mean the web page goes away from me, it just means when I go to type something and hit enter, it's going to take an extra second or two to go back out and establish a new connection. This helps offload people who park on your page. You don't want that, you don't want to keep this time high because it's going to reduce, it's going to put a performance downgrade on your system. But you don't want it to go too low. If you set this 1 second, as soon as I pull up the web page and read and then I hit something, that's constantly making new connections, and that'll also. So we want a happy medium. I like to start off with 30 seconds. And then over time I can see how the server's performing and if I need to increase that or decrease it. So, yep, got that. Oh, so following, no, okay, so yeah. So now here we want to do enter. And yes, for those of you who watch Silicon Valley, I did hit the space bar, not the tab. So I want to do this. I need to put my glasses on. Max body. We want to set that to 16 meg. We're going to have to match a setting in another configuration file to match this, but this is how much the largest file someone can, their browser can upload to us. Not what they can upload to us, but that behind the scenes communication. We don't want them dumping a bunch of cookies and stuff like that on us. Have to end it with a semicolon. So next, okay. Next we want to find Control W to search. gzip, right? Okay. So we want to uncomment vary on, proxy any. Comp level is compression level. That's how much it's going to try to compress things, uploading and downloading. I set this at 5 because that does roughly 75%, which is kind of a happy medium. Let's see. Alright, not all the world has gotten off HTTP 1.1. And we want to put one more line in here. Gzip. So anything under 256 kilobytes, it's not going to zip it up. It's not even worth it. Okay. Now we need to find. That was just there. So gzip types, this is going to tell the system what type of files it needs to compress. Now I'm actually going to take this entire line out. Because I actually have what I've tweaked and formatted and I find works the best. Ooh, no. It'd been nice if it kept the formatting. Oh god, there's more. Okay. So I think that is all we need to do here. Okay. So again, Control X to exit, yes to save, and we want to save on that file. So now we want to test that configuration. So sudo run as administrator -T. Line 23. So let's find line 23. One, two. Did I forget? Yep. So client max body. Okay. View. Zoom in. Okay. Body. Underscore. What I forgot to put was size. So in this case, size really did matter. Control X, Y, save. And let's try it again. Boom. So. Next thing we need to modify, we need to restart Nginx, sudo run as admin. We want to service name. Okay. Next thing we need to install is PHP. This I'm not even going to try to. I'm just going to cut and paste. But I will have this in the description. So there are newer versions. There's 8.0 of PHP out. But to do that, you have to modify repositories to tell your server where to look for it, and we're going with simple. So I think this takes a few minutes. I'm going to pause, take a pit stop, and be right back. Okay, wow, we're at the 1 hour mark. We're getting there though. We're getting there. So PHP is installed. PHP is a web page format like HTML, something like that. So now we need to enable that. So sudo run as admin, our text editor, etc, ng, and tab. Sites available and default. So we need to come down and find the index line. Oh, right there. And right after the just index alone, we want to put index.php. Let's see. Yep. So now we need to go and find the fast CGI section. And we want to comment this out. Uncomment. Yep. Skip that. Now I want to show you something here. We did that sudo nginx-t earlier to test. When you're modifying these config files, whenever you see a beginning bracket, you got to follow it down, and there has to be an end. So I'm not going to uncomment this. I'm actually going to Control-X save, and we're going to do a sudo nginx-t, and we'll get an error. So it's expecting that end bracket. So we're going to go back in. Control-X. Yes, we want to save. I'm going to do that sudo again. Successful. The very first time I deployed this kind of setup, I wiped it out at least a couple dozen times because I kept forgetting to uncomment that one line. So, my pain, your gain. So now we want to sudo service nginx reload. Okay. So now we're going to create a test page. So we've already got this. So now we're going to, as admin, open a text editor to var, and we want to call it text.php. PHP is what we just added to that last file. So you can put whatever you want to in here. I'm going to do this one. And if I've done everything right up to here, I don't think I need to restart. Nope. So if I come here and refresh, we should have a page full of information. I did save that, right? ls Maybe I'm just being impatient. Okay. Let's see. Let me pause for just... Okay, so I can't walk and talk. I can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. So let me show you where I made the mistake. If you remember in... where I purposely made a mistake. Sudo nano etc ngx nginx sites available default. I did not comment this line out. Once I did that, and then reloaded nginx, followed the same steps, then we get this. So, if this was a really big problem, I'd probably restore from a snapshot, but I just go back to the last steps. Okay, oh, you know what? I forgot one item. So, now we're good. So now we can switch back over here. Now we didn't make any changes, so when we hit Control X. But so let's see where. Okay. Next thing we need to do is etc php 7.3 f and ph .ini. There's two settings we need to change in here. I'm probably going to go right past them. Yeah. Let's go Control W, upload. File uploads on. Okay, we need this line. I'm sorry. We need this line to match that 16 we set earlier. Next one we need to change is okay, let's do this. Is Control W CGI.F. CGI.fix. There we go. So we need to change, uncomment this, and make that a 0. So the only thing this is doing is, if a user hits a web page and the web server is looking for script ABC, this is telling this only do ABC. Don't look or run a script that says AC or BC or, you know, something similar. We want it to only run the specific thing that we want. That's a security feature. Hackers can inject script into websites, and if this wasn't set, they could upload something similar because they don't have permission to overwrite anything. Inject something similar and then call that from the web page, and then, you know, run havoc. This way we're preventing any shenanigans. I am a shenanigans preventer. So, Control X. Yes. So at this point, we've got our snapshot schedule set up. We've got our Google Cloud command line so we can connect the server up. We've got DD client, update our DNS. We've got Nginx, PHP for the web server. So that's been a fair good amount of time of work. So what I want to do now is come back in here, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the database server. Compute, snapshot. So I don't want to go through and repeat all this work. We're at a point where it's working the way it should be, the way we expect it. So snapshot. create a snapshot. Crash free MariaDB. Because there are some settings in here I could screw up, and I have. So name, source disk, and create. Free. Free. So I'm going to pause this while that runs and be back with you in a second. Okay, we just passed the hour and 10 minute mark. So for those of you who wanted the crash course, we are crashing right along. So let's go back over to our terminal. Next thing we want to do is install Maria database. Sudo install MariaDB server, MariaDB client. Yes, we do. 171 megs. That's going to take a while. I'm really trying to keep this. I know, an hour, 10 minutes in, and I'm worried about time. I'm going to pause it because this will take a little bit. Okay, hope you guys took a pit stop there, because we're going to get into the database part. So first thing we're going to do is sudo mysql. We're going to run mysql as admin. Now, there's a couple things important when you're actually working on the database, or any part of Linux. It is case sensitive. It's not like Windows command prompt where you can do upper lowercase, doesn't matter. Linux systems are case sensitive everywhere. So that's the first part. I'll tell you the second in a minute. So we're going to create user. This is whatever you want the admin to be for your database. I'm going to keep it the same as my login at localhost identified by. Yep. So I know I said don't use let me in, but this is just an example. I hope you create a secure password. Now you're going to be tempted to hit enter here. You have to end this with a semicolon. Is that a colon, semicolon? Whatever the winky eye is. Because if not, it goes down into a sub command prompt and it's just a pain in the ass. Okay. Next thing we want to do is grant all priv. Alright, it's not that I can't spell, I can, that I'm also dyslexic, so I have to, you gotta sync my mind up when I do this. Privileges on. Privileges on. Wildcard 2. Geek at local host and end with the winky eye. Okay. So now we want to flush privileges privileges end with a winky, and now we want to exit. Now we're going to do this next step too. Do a little bit of security. SQL secure installation. Okay. So we don't even concerned about root logging into this. So we do not want to set root password because we just set that Geek account we just set. That's going to be the root. Yes, we do not want anonymous connections to our database. Yep, root. So root is the admin. And I'll show you real quick what the difference is. Yes. Whenever something is capitalized like that, like a Y and an N, and the Y is capital, if you just hit enter, it'll do whatever's capital. From all my experience with the Maria database, it doesn't install test database and access to it. So, yes, we do want to reload. Yes. Okay. So, just real quick, so you show you the difference in privileges. So if I go sudo, that's run as administrator, xt, we're still successful. Now I'm going to log in as root. Sudo. Wrong variation. So see how this is not green anymore? Now if you look, I didn't have to type sudo. So if I exit and go back to this one, if I just go nginx, it can't be found because you have to be administrator. So just a little sidetrack. So let's see. Okay. Okay. So that's installed. We now need to download WordPress, which is the web site management software we're going to use. And then we're going to do some database configurations. Then we'll configure our page. I mean, we're almost there. So cd var no. So we want to, these are all the default and tests we want to get rid of. So it's going to be sudo rm for remove index with a asterisk for wildcard. Okay. Sudo, see, now earlier when I was setting this up, now I'm crossing the streams here. Don't pay attention to me. Do wget. Wget is a command for webget, so we're going to go out to this website. latest.tar.gz. So a tar.gz is kind of a Linux style zip file. Command not found. So apt install wget. Arrow up. There we go. So here's how you're going to unzip it. Sudo for that root admin privilege. Oh. Alright, sorry for that brief pause. We got 4 stir crazy cats in the house right now with the snow, the pandemic, and all that. So we got it. So we're going to sudo run as root tar xy xz xc f tab. So that just extracted everything. We can take a quick look. We now have a WordPress folder, which we're going to move. So run as admin, mv for move, WordPress, everything in WordPress to here. Okay, now we want to do some cleanup. rm-rf. This is for removing a folder that may have stuff in it. WordPress, so we're going to remove this Where is it? I'm going to remove this folder because it should now be empty. And we're going to get rid of that latest because we don't need them anymore. And we want to keep our server nice and clean. So, one thing we have to do for search engine web search engine is create a robots.txt file. So as search engines touch web pages, they try to index them and create notes on them. Well, we don't want them touching certain folders, so we are going to block them. They're not going to be able to go into our admin folder. A couple times. So, I'm going to save that. And if you didn't get this right here and there, this will be in the description. Hopefully you get enough characters to write all this in the description. If not, I'll put this on one of my web pages and put a link in the description to this. Okay. Now we need to set some permissions. So that's going to be the command chown, change ownership. Capital R, remember things are case sensitive. Okay, so that's good. Now we need to go and set a database up for WordPress. So we're not going to do sudo MySQL this time. -u for user, the user will be created. -p, we want it to prompt us for that password. Okay. So create database, give it a name. Yeah, why not? Put the semicolon winky face at the end. Exit. Now, if we've done the last hour and 22 minutes right, if we come here and we refresh, we should get a WordPress installation menu. Alright, so I am English in the United States. Continue. So this is all stuff we just set up. Let's go. So WordPress database name is that. Username is geek. Password is the let me in 21. Localhost. A WordPress. This is internal stuff to the database, which we honestly don't give a shit about. All right, Sparky, you ready? 'Cause I'm ready. Let's see. Free web hosting crash course. So you want to create a username. So this also is case sensitive. Now this is a really effed up password. You can keep it, but if we go to do it something similar like we did for the database, it's going to tell us it's very weak. We can use that password. We just have to confirm we want to use a weak password. I don't recommend that. I also don't recommend using the one they give you, unless you're using some sort of password manager like LastPass or something like that. So, .add. Yep. Honestly, you can check and uncheck this. It has no effect what search engines do. Save. Okay, let's log in. So, done. Remember, don't remember, it's your preference. Why not? God damn it, do not. Okay. So I'm going to stop here because now we have a WordPress server working. I'm going to take a snapshot because that was a huge milestone. What the? So, compute engine. Nope. So after the snapshot, we're going to set up a certificate, SSL, so your website's secure. Come on. Snapshots. Snapshots. Create a snapshot. Sorry, I'm starting to get spacey. If you're still with me in this video, God bless you. Crash. Pre-WP config. Oh. Every time, man. Every time. Okay. Ah, free. So I'm going to kick that off, pause it for a few. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do before we go through and play with WordPress is we want to set up an SSL certificate. So when people go to your site, they get that nice, secure HTTPS. Now, if you Google SSL cert, you'll find VeriSign and a bunch of others that want... Well, here, I don't know about you guys. In my Jenkins Lock side, in my Geek-Dom side, in whatever side, I don't like spending money. So with that, we are going to go to a site called Let's Encrypt. Oh, there's that word. I love it. Okay. So just show you, this isn't some scam, something some student from a college is doing. These are all the companies that use Let's Insert, or Let's Encrypt. So AWS, that's Google's cloud platform, or AWS is Amazon's cloud platform, which, surprisingly enough, you're not. That's where most of the federal, DoD, and all those places put all their stuff in the cloud. So you got Chrome. So apparently sitting here I got 250 steps. Go me. Don't want to talk about those guys. 3CX is it's a PBX phone system I've been having problems with. Zendesk. So all these places use... there's Wix. There's a web hosting site. So this isn't some fly-by-night crackpot place. So what we want to do is get started. So with shell access, yes, that's what we have right here. Yep. So we're not going to worry about that because we're basically doing this on our own. So we were going to go with certbot. And this is great. This is going to walk us right through doing it. I'm not even looking at my notes over here. So, get certbot instructions. We are running Nginx on Debian Buster 10. So things we'll need. We'll need the command line. We'll need the website. Is it already online? Let's see. So maybe we need to back up a second. Oh, yep. So that's the default WordPress site. Hello world. Okay, so we're good. We can go back over to here. And a server it's hosted on, which we're connected right now. Yes, we do have these requirements. Okay, so we're going to right click and open this in a new tab. Hopefully I clicked the right one. So we are Debian. Okay, sudo app update. So we're going to do the, see if I can get this. Okay, so sudo apt. At this point, you guys got to be experts with the sudo apt install, right? Snapd. Not bad. Okay. Okay, we already have sudo, so we're good with that. So we're going to install. We just want to do this sudo. You guys don't realize how hard I try not to open another browser. So let's go. Let's bump this down a little. So sudo snap core. All right. So that's installed. Just for giggles, let's do the sudo snap core. All right, so we're good. Now, this is a new one on me. But we'll go through it. Sudo snap. Okay, so let's go hello world. Okay, I've never done the test, so let's go back to here. Okay, that's should have read on ahead, right? Okay, so we're gonna do sudo snap install tac classic cert bot. Alrighty. So I'm not even going to try to copy that because I will make a mistake. Okay. When it drops down like that, usually it means there's no problem. Choose how you would like to run certbot. Either get and install your certificates. No, we want to do this because with Let's Encrypt, your certificate expires every 30 days. But the way we're setting it up, it'll go out and automatically renew itself. Whew, 135. You guys are troopers. Okay. So enter your email address. Yes. Yeah, I don't mind sharing with, it's a good organization. Enter the name of your domain. donjenkins.dev. So basically what it's done behind the scenes is it's gone out and contacted Google's DNS. It's verified that I'm the owner of it, and we're good. So that should be all we have to do here. So we do want to make sure that it did install correctly, and it's going to be automatic. Remember, automation. I like that. So sudo certbot renew tac try tac run. We're golden. Our site is now SSL secured, and we should not have to go in and touch this for anything. On both my Geek-Dom and my Jenkins locks, I haven't touched them in months as far as SSL. So we're good. So now technically, let's see. Let's go. Okay, so now look, we're not using that IP address anymore, and it's HTTP. Now if we go to see how it flipped it over to SSS, part of that certbot install is it tells Nginx, our web software, to take either HTTP, which is on port 80, or HTTPS on port 43, and put it on HTTPS. So everything that comes in, it puts on that secure port. So now we need to design a site. So that is going to be your domain name dash WP for WordPress admin. Potential security threat. So it does take time once that cert's generated for it to fully propagate out, because right now Firefox is trying to authenticate that with Let's Encrypt, and in this day and age it's still not instant. Add cert domain word. Accept the rest and continue. So done. Don't save. So one of the first things you may want to do, if you didn't already, change your yeah. If you didn't change your password, you can come here and change it. You can do. You can change roles. Edit. That's what I want. And do. Don Jenkins. Yep. Website. Here's some of the configuration changes we need to make. Now I gotta go back to my notes. So let's go back and go to, I believe, settings. Some structure. Okay, it's been a while since I've gotten to this far. So let's go to settings, permalinks. We want to do, hold on, settings, address. We definitely want to change this to Jenkins.dev. Jenkins.dev. Yep. Or save changes. Oh, now look, we're not getting, okay, alright. Let me just pull it up on my local computer and see. Okay, we're not getting a certificate error, which is good, and it is secure. So, alright, we're doing something right. So, Don, again, 2-1. Oh, I hate that. So let's go back to settings, permalinks. We want to do a custom structure of, I would suggest, year. Let's go month number. Let's go day. Why not? Save changes. Now we do need to come back over here and make one quick change. Nano. Let's see. X sites dash A. So we want to do a control W for find and look for try files. So we're going to comment this out. End. Alright, I used tab that time, not spaces. So we want to put try files URI. URI slash space index.php arg. Okay. So this is just gonna kind of dictate when it's trying to find things where it needs to go to find them. Okay, so Control X, Y, save. I'm going to do a sudo service nginx reload. Okay, sudo nginx. Okay, so let's go back to the last thing we just modified. So let's go. Control X, no, I don't want to save it because I goofed. W. Okay. So I'm probably going to say I made a typo. It happens. Copy. Paste. It does look a little bit different. Yeah. Yep. I screwed up. Sudo service nginx. Okay. So whenever I tried to reload it earlier, it couldn't, so it just shut down. So instead of reload, we're doing a start. Now we're going to do a status. Active and running. Let's go here. Still got a web page. Awesome. So that should be it. So now I would suggest, once you do this, go ahead and take another snapshot. And the reason being, we're going to come in here and we got to log back in probably. Okay. The reason being is you're going to go through here and you're going to customize the site for the way you want it. Sometimes configurations, foobar, restore, and then you're right back where you were. Which I will in the last 10 minutes of this, because I know we're approaching almost 2 hours now. Thank you for being here. So, users is where you can go and add users. If you want to set up like site admins, you can add new, give them a username, email. I would not give them that password. And you can make them contribute, an author, an editor, administrator. So if you've got a site and you want multiple people to come in here and manage it, this is where you're going to do it. They will get an email. So next thing we want to do is, I don't like the hello world. I don't. Let's go to appearance. Let's go to themes. So these are, looks like the default themes that were installed. Add a new one. So let's say I want to do a gallery. So these are different types of themes you can get. Almost all of them have a free version and then a paid version. I have not found any benefits in the paid versions. I like teddy bears. So let's install this one. And then you want to activate it. So if we come over here and go to yep. So now our website looks different. So now to change the stuff, you want to go to pages, all pages, and here's some samples. You can do a, let's add, oh, add new, duh, scroll up, add new, there's tons of sites and YouTube videos and how to customize, and I'm not very artsy. So got it. Publish. Yes, we would like to publish and make it. Visibility. Okay, so maybe there's a problem with this thing. we can go back. We can let's go back. Leap page. Maybe it's something with that theme. So let's find another one. Shop. Oh, add new. Sorry. Okay, install. And we're going to activate this one. It's going to give us a few seconds. Whole new web page. So, getting the feel for the website and what you want it, that's just going to take time. This is why I said take a snapshot. Because if you end up installing 30, 40 themes and you don't think to remove them, it's going to bog your server down. But get in there, get a feel for what you want. WordPress.org has a lot of good information on it, documentation. But in this last 9 minutes, what I want to do is probably something I don't want to. I'm an idiot. So sudo rm-rf Oh my god, I just wiped out the web page. Did I really wipe it out? We're good. We're good. So go to snapshots. Got a cat clawing up the wall there. I don't know if you guys can see him back there. So let's go to VM instances. Now remember, this is the IP address, 187. So we're going to, if I can click on it, stop and shut it down. Yeah. Oh, we know. Don made a terrible boo-boo. The website's down, customers can't get to us. We can't post a blog, oh no. Chill, relax. Also, we don't even have to wait for that. Let's go to Compute Engine, Snapshots. We're going to click on this. Alright, why are you being a pain in my butt? There we go. I'm going to create an instance. Instance, we can call this the exact same thing. Crash. But I like to document the times I've screwed up and had to restore, just for that little extra salt in the wound. So, Northern Virginia. I'm going to select the same server size. We don't have to worry about driver OS on this because that's what it's going to restore. Firewall, yes, we want to allow this. We want to create. So I'm actually not going to pause the video on this because I want to show you real time how quick it is to recover. Oh, and if we go to our terminal, we got kicked out because we shut the server down. I screwed up and deleted something. Alright, so server's online. Did it actually give the same IP address? Let me see. Huh, it actually did give it the same IP address. I haven't noticed that before. But if it did give it a new one, the DD client will refresh that. So let's scroll over. We're going to get the gcloud command. natural, see? And before I even do anything, we just did a restore. So we are back at, before we added a theme, before we did anything, we're back at that clean slate. So that was minutes. And we've got the website back to where we want. That's why I say snapshots and backing up your data is super important. So we are just at the 2-hour mark. I hope this is a crash course you guys were wanting. Because I did get a lot of requests. Everyone didn't want to wait for the next video on the next video. If you made it through this, please comment below. I want to send you an email of thanks and gratitude and apologize for how long this was. And you know what? What is today? Today is 2/19. I will leave this open until March 1st. I will randomly pick one of the comments below and I will send a prize to. I will send a gift. So, I will figure out how to get in touch with you. Message you, whatever. But, well, let's do this. March 1st, I'm going to put a comment on this video of who the winner is. Email me. My email address will be included. And I will work out the details and get you a prize. Okay? So, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Much love. And with that, let's put this to bed. Catch you guys next time. Be safe.